Hello, everyone. This is Ryan Blade here with Indian River News. We had a slight connection issue with our live stream. We just want to wrap up the stream with talking about the survey that Moms for Liberty Indian River, Florida uncovered. So we're going to bring it back to Jennifer, and we're going to basically break down what's in this survey, some thoughts on it, and go from there.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Yes, so this survey is the Florida Health Department survey that went out in 2021 to Indian River County students. And again, we're doing some investigation to see how was parental consent given, how many students in the district actually took it. We don't want names or anything like that, but just to give parents, grandparents, and community members an idea of what is in this survey. Question 51 was, during the past 3 months, with how many people did you have sexual intercourse?
And that right there, because we were actually explaining some of this before the stream cut out, because there's some of this we discussed before we realized that we had the connection problem. And it's, what business does the government, school district, health department have, with asking about something like that? They, as far as I'm concerned, have no business asking anyone about that, especially minor children.
Absolutely. And I think too, Ryan, is the problem is if a parental consent form went home, I don't think parents of 10-year-old students understand what exactly is in the survey. And I think that if they knew what was in it, they probably wouldn't have given parental consent if they did. And, what I'm hoping for the school district moving forward is that they send the link to the survey home for parents, or put it on their website, or put it on the actual permission slip. So this way parents know when it goes home to be signed, they know exactly what their children are going to be filling out the day, after they signed for parental consent.
Right, exactly. I agree with the part of needing parental consent for these kinds of things. However, the more sexually explicit questions that you mentioned before, that as you go through that survey more and more, the questions start getting really sexually explicit, asking about certain things of that nature. I don't know why the government would need to do that, because I'm for less government, right? That's my philosophy when it comes to government. And government should be, to protect, property rights, well-being of, as in no theft or, killing each other. That's basically what I find to be the minimal for government. Obviously, I'm very much for private advocacy and, private charity, helping out those in need. I'm very much for that. However, trying to pry for something like this, going and getting information like this, I don't see what's the point of the government going in and doing that. Because of this story, I don't know if I had shared this before the stream cut out, but I remember because I just turned 24, right? And about a decade ago, I would have been in 8th grade. And I remember a year or two before, one of my mentors told me, Ryan, if anybody ever gives you a survey, like what Jennifer described, do not fill it out. And I didn't quite get at the time why that was mentioned, but I knew I'd listened to it, and I was getting something like that when I was in 8th grade. And, which I grew up in Connecticut. I didn't grow up around here in Florida. So I'm class, 2016. And, I remember, I just, told the teacher, I looked at some of the questions, I was just like, I'm not going to fill this, I don't want to fill this out. And I was just sent down to the school's cafeteria afterwards, while everyone else is filling out the survey. And now from hearing stuff like this from Jennifer, seeing all the crazy things that have gone on in the past couple of years that have been uncovered about our education system nationwide here in the United States, I'm seeing why I had been told that all those years ago. And I'm glad I had listened to that. Because who knows what could have came about? Were there questions there, Jennifer, about possible self-harm or anything?
No.
Okay.
No, not that we saw. There was, how do you feel about your body and things like that. But yeah. It was very deep, and for me, I agree with you, Ryan. That's not something that needs to be brought into the school district. And, if a parent takes their child to the pediatrician and they want them to fill something like that out. But, when you bring it to a public school and, or for example, say you and I are 10-year-olds and we're in a class, and here I am filling out the survey, and I just show it to you, or I say something out loud about, how many sexual partners I've had at 10 years old, it just has so much more room for, harm for these children. And, this doesn't help their education.
No, it doesn't. And some of these kids could be having serious mental health issues because I just know for myself as a younger person, there's been a lot of issues. This is just my observation, right? That a lot of people around my age and younger have had various mental health problems, whether it be anxiety, depression, that I've even had friends that have had to deal with this. Unfortunately, I even had one at one point that was in a mental hospital because of self-harm. So unfortunately, I have seen this before, and it is an issue. So I definitely encourage those who need help to get help if you need that. I highly 100% give you the room to go and do that. But at least in the context of the survey, like it said, I mean, some of this just goes a bit too, especially with 10-year-olds. I mean, some of it goes a little too far. I mean, I understand, wanting to make sure, checking someone's well-being. I would certainly hope the parents are being proactive. And obviously, there's resources there if, parents are not, for whatever reason. There's, obvious, clear, viewable harm of the child. But beyond that, I mean, there's really no place that the district should be doing this.
Sure. And if you look at the state statutes, Ryan, the school district and all the school districts in Florida, all 67 counties, are supposed to be teaching abstinence. So this is a direct opposite of that, asking, how many partners you've had, did you do drugs while you're doing this, did you use a condom, all of these things that they're supposed to be, not talking about or not teaching. Because of the state statutes, they're now filling out in this survey. And again, some of these students may not even understand what these questions are or what the answer is, and how it, correlates to them, because they may not have had those discussions with their parents yet where they know what a condom is, or, talking about sex, and, they're asking if you've done drugs while having sex or drinking while having sex. And, you have to be 21 in the state of Florida to drink.
They seem to be pretty descriptive there of those questions.
It is. It's absolutely inappropriate. And again, parental rights, if parents knew and did give consent for these, did they know that these questions were in this survey, Ryan?
No, exactly. And they should know. I mean, it's one thing, if you're filling out a survey, like, what class trip you want to do this year, that's one thing.
Sure. What was your favorite class?
Yeah, exactly. Which class you had the hardest time with academically, which one did you not, which one did you excel the best? I mean, and those seem reasonable, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Yes.
Well, and what when you go to high school, what class are you looking forward to, taking, or what career path are you going to take? And the same thing with the library books and the curriculum, all of these issues that we're having. What does this survey do to better children's education or futures?
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm 100% with you on that one.
Yeah, it's again, that's something that we're looking into. Jacqueline Rosario has grabbed, the bull by the horns, and she's, asking questions of the superintendent and getting some more information on it. So just, moving forward, obviously we can't undo what's been done with this past survey, but what can we do in the future so this doesn't happen again?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. It's just making sure that, and this would be my message to the people in, whether it be you're just a teacher or you're way up there in administration or you're someone in the higher levels of administration within one of the schools, make sure you're thinking with common sense when you're working on this stuff. If something seems odd, I mean, make sure it gets, makes its way to the superintendent or up to the school board, whichever your procedure is. Obviously follow your internal procedures on these things. But I would certainly hope that there's some due diligence to make sure that you don't have something far off base, something that parents will not approve of. There's a lot. If you go on, if you want to see like a what not to do, go to the Twitter account, or even, I don't know if it could be in the ban by the time this, maybe this is being viewed on live stream, but if you go to the Twitter account, Libs of TikTok, there's even the whole website. It's one person just exposing all the crazy things that the American left has currently been doing here in the United States, right? And if you go through and look at all these crazy things that, like, they want to push on kids and stuff, I mean, we're lucky here in Florida, but I'm sure that there's people like that here in the state of Florida that they could pop up on anywhere. I mean, not for anybody to be paranoid, but it's just a showing of what not to do. And obviously, all you got to do is really just, I mean, I'm sure, Jennifer, you might have something to add to the statement about to say, is all you got to do is just, educate the kids, and don't go pushing radical indoctrination. Don't try sexualizing children. Don't go shoving transgender ideology on them. As long as you don't do those things, I mean, you should be good to go.
Absolutely. Well, and like you said, common sense is almost non-existent now. And we have a lot of teachers and staff and school bus drivers that are Moms for Liberty members, and they are scared to speak out. Like you said before, Ryan, they're scared to speak out because they don't want to lose their job or get demoted or get passed up on a promotion for speaking out. There was one teacher from a charter school that spoke out in the midst of all the COVID 19 protocols, and said my children are suffering and these children are suffering, but because she's not a public school employee, she's a charter school employee. As far as we know, she didn't have any ramifications from that. But we have teachers and bus drivers and staff all the time emailing us and calling us and saying, hey, this is going on, or hey, this came home. And they don't feel safe enough to be able to go to the school district because they don't want to get in trouble, or they don't want the principal or whoever's, overseeing them to take it out on them or their children, even if they have children in the school district. Ryan?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I mentioned earlier, that's why I asked about the cancel culture, because it's got to stop. That's why on August 23rd, the people you're going to want to vote for, if you want to put an end to this cancel culture, you're going to want to reelect Jackie Rosario, right? Because I know Jackie's good, and she's the one school board member I find that is willing to step up and solve these problems. The problem is she cannot convince the other, or at least from what I can see, I could be wrong, I don't want to go speaking for Jackie, but this is just my opinion and analysis, that I don't see any room right now for Jackie to persuade any of the other four, including Dr. Marsheff, who, if you look up her voter registration, let's say it's left-leaning, okay? That I don't think she's going to be able to persuade the other four to want to fix these issues. And 3 of them have the same party affiliation as me, the party that is against cancel culture. Okay, the Republican Party is supposed to be against cancel culture. I also say this as a Young Republicans vice president, that the Republican Party is against cancel culture. We don't do that stuff. And that's where the district, this needs to stop. I'm sure this live stream might make its way to some of the people in the district. And I'm appealing to all of you. The cancel culture needs to stop. And if your teachers need to speak up at a school meeting and say, hey, I think something needs to be done better, you might want to listen to those educators. I'm just finding in my experience that if you listen to your people on the front line of these things, that it really makes a difference. Even with my news thing, I haven't really hired a lot of people yet, but I've had some volunteers working with me. I've had one guy, had to hire 1099 to help me record some stuff, but even others in my orbit, I'm always asking for feedback. I have sent stories, even to Jennifer, actually, believe it or not, I've sent just to look it over, hey, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure I do my due diligence, I'm being accurate, but to make sure that, I'm being the best I can be, and that I'm providing the best information possible to the general public. That's, lately I haven't done it as much, but once in a while I'm missing a story, something like, hey, what are your thoughts on this? Is this going in the right direction? And that right there is direct feedback. In the case of the district, listening to your bus drivers and teachers about the challenges they face, because yes, I will be at some point coming out with an official endorsement for Dr. Posca, and I was actually helping him get in his petitions one day. And I remember I wanted to go because I was also helping to get Jackie and Thomas's as well. And I remember seeing a teacher just really upset when I go talk to this person, and they were just disgusted with the with the school board. And I've heard this from others, there's one person that, let's say through a friend of a friend, will put it at that to help protect, identities, right? That, a teacher in the district has been very stressed out because they have not been able to adequately discipline students. I'm just sharing what I'm hearing in hopes that this makes it to the school district, that perhaps maybe they could take a look and, just to see, do we actually have these problems going on, which I personally believe they are.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, I don't have anything concrete for it, but I'm just repeating what I am hearing because I have a platform with my news organization to be able to do this. So that's where I'm finding that this needs to, bottom line, this needs to be dealt with. These teachers are being beyond stressed because they cannot adequately discipline the students, and I'm concerned somebody can end up getting hurt if this is not addressed. I know that they spoke about some of the discipline, which I give the district, I applaud them for that, but I think there's some issues going on somewhere, whether it's the upper tiers of Dr. Moore directly below him, or some people a little ways below. I don't know. There's somewhere in there in the chain of command, something is going wrong.
Sure.
And that's where the district has to be able to find this issue.
And people have to be able to talk to people to fix these issues. If they feel like they can't go anywhere, they're going to leave. They're going to go somewhere else where they feel like they're going to be valued. I mean, you're not going to work in somewhere in a profession that's very stressful right now, and not feel valued and not feel like when you are teaching, you have to do, like you said, this agenda that isn't something that you agree with personally, or your faith or anything like that. And if they feel like they're going to speak up, that they're going to get in trouble again, or get demoted, or not get the promotion. So many people were just promoted in the district. And again, even the people that have come to us, they're like, hey, if we send you this information, can you send the email to the district and just not put our name on it? And we've had people mail us things with no return address that says, hey, I'm a teacher in the district, can you please give this to Dr. Moore? And
yeah, you know what I got? I had first one. I had an anonymous. Unfortunately, I can't read it right now because I have to use my phone as a hotspot sadly to do the live stream. But I got an anonymous email about some issues in the district. I looked at it, I was like, wow. I don't want to go over what the contents were, but it was kind of like what you were talking about. And just so the folks know, and Jennifer's told me this before, that she's gotten so many anonymous things from parents, teachers afraid to speak out. And the one school board member she forwards it to is Miss Jackie Rosario. And remember, too, that, Jackie is the one good school board member. We want to keep her. She's got a lot of good people like me, Jennifer Pippin, a lot of good people in her orbit that Jackie has been phenomenal, definitely in the past year. She's been very helpful to really everyone in the district. All the parents and community members have had various concerns, that Jackie has been very helpful for that. However, it's important that we continue to support her. The other four, have had, let's just say, we'll call it disagreement to be polite. And, I've had disagreements with the other four. Although one of those four at times have been workable with me. What that specific one knows who they are, and I thank them for the few things they actually helped me with. But Jackie's really been the one that's been 100% on the ball of things that the parents are probably going to want to have on there. And as long as we elect Dr. Jean Pasca and Thomas Kenny, which I know all three of them, great people, that these issues, they can put the right policy into place and we can put an end to this. I don't see any of there's some nice people running, for some of the other seats. But I think these three specifically, Dr. Jean Pasca, who, by the way, Jean's an internal medicine doctor, so that's where he, has his doctorate. Dr. Jean Pasca, Jackie Rosario, and Thomas Kenny. Get the three of them elected. I'm just finding that they're the best ones that can handle these situations the district is facing. And I will say, too, for Jean, by the way, I know he intends to put his salary towards, helping kids attend, get into vocational education. I'm sure that's something I'd let, Dr. Pasca speak a bit more on, but I know I have heard him mention that before. So before we wrap this up, Jennifer, is there anything else you want to discuss with the public?
No, I think that's good. A good recap. I appreciate you having me on. And just about the three candidates. So Jacqueline Rosario, Thomas Kenny, and Jean Pasca were all endorsed by Moms for Liberty, Indian River, Florida, and many other organizations locally as well.
All right, well, that sounds good. This is Ryan Blade with Indian River News.